Hey, Future Lawyer. Welcome to the LSAT Simplified podcast presented by Hey Future Lawyer, where we talk about all things LSAT, law school admissions, and otherwise. If you want to check out our free LSAT course, go to HeyFutureLawyer.com to sign up for a free account today. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. So today we have a fun list of topics. Basically, we're going to do a various kind of mailbag episode, go through some LSAT questions. Further, there was also pretty big news from LSAC today. I mean, I guess it's kind of big news. It's also kind of not big news. But anyway, instead of burying the lead, let's just get into that. So they emailed us this morning as LSAT test prep providers. And they also released this on their blog post, which says temporarily suspending online LSAT testing in mainland China. So obviously the headline kind of tells the story there, which is that LSAC is not going to be administering the LSAT in China. It's due to cheating. I'll get into that, but let's see what they say. So they say LSAC is committed to ensuring that the LSAT provides a fair, valid, and reliable assessment that can be used as an important component of the holistic admission process for schools and applicants. LSAC invests heavily in a wide range of tools, programs, and other steps to protect the security of the LSAT and the integrity of LSAT results. So whatever. That's just background knowledge. We've been increasingly concerned about organized efforts by individuals and companies in mainland China to promote test misconduct. While security is always a concern, these enterprises are becoming increasingly aggressive. This type of activity is not limited to the LSAT. These enterprises purport to offer cheating services for virtually every standardized test. We are taking steps to shut down these operations and will pursue appropriate legal remedies. LSAC also has processes in place to monitor and respond to individual score irregularities for all LSAT candidates, and we will continue to evolve our security measures. So basically, there's cheating going on in China. There are operations that openly advertise that they will take the LSAT for you and get you a high score. I think the going rate is about like $4,000 for a 170. And to be fair, this was always really sketch because you know what could happen? If you get a 170 based on these cheating score or these cheating services, they know who you are. They can hold that over you for the rest of your career and blackmail you. And do you think they're not going to blackmail you? Like, they're not highly ethical people. They're cheating the LSAT. So this is always a very sketch option. But it was one that was, happening. And it's gotten to a point where it is occurring enough to where LSAC is going to just stop administering the test in China. We'll get there. So they continue. After careful consideration, we have decided to take the additional step of suspending online testing in mainland China following the upcoming October international administration of the LSAT. I also like how they say mainland China as opposed to Taiwan. I guess LSAC does not recognize Taiwan as a free and independent state, which is funny. Because when you say mainland China, I guess the implication is that, is there anything other than Taiwan that would not be mainland China? I guess for clarity's sake, it's good to say so that people don't confuse it in Taiwan. But I guess the implication here is that you could take the test in Taiwan if you were there, which is odd because don't you think the cheating? To me, this is weird because I don't like if I'm a cheating ring and I'm making a racket off of this, wouldn't I just relocate to a different country? Like, you don't think the cheating rings can relocate to like Indonesia? Or I didn't pick Indonesia for a particular reason, but like couldn't they? Couldn't they go to like Mongolia or Russia? Like, why would they be stuck? It's to me, this doesn't seem like a solution. It seems like if people are intent on cheating, they're still going to be able to. And sure, it might have been from China largely because that's where these people were, but that was out of convenience. Now that they have to move if they want to keep their racket going, you think these people are just going to go, oh, shucks, our LSAT gig has come to an end? I think they're going to relocate. So, this could be the death of the online LSAT over time, which is that there's just not a way to administer it online without some level of cheating being possible, especially as technology gets better and better. But anyway, let's continue. We will be taking a variety of steps to enhance the security of the October LSAT. Because remember, they're still doing one more LSAT in China. It's after this next one, it's game over. So there's one more international LSAT in China. Because we do not currently offer in-person testing in China, the October test will be the last LSAT administration in mainland China until further notice. Yeah. I think what this might indicate is that online testing, I really don't think that it can continue if cheating is a thing. Now, cheating is odd. I'm not sure how you would cheat the LSAT other than have someone take it for you. Because it's not like you can have the answer key. I guess you could if you had people take the test prior to you and you knew that they were scoring high, they could write down all their answers and just give it to you and you could put them in. I'm guessing what's more likely happening is they're messing with the webcams so that it looks like it's you taking it, but it's not you taking it. I don't know, though. That's just my conjecture. I have no idea. They continue. This is not a step we take lightly. We will work to resume testing in mainland China as soon as possible, but it is unclear if we will be able to offer the LSAT in mainland China by the next international administration scheduled for January 2026. So yeah, LSAC is trying to, they want to keep administering it because they don't want to prevent people from going to law school, but also they want to get the cheating under control. And it sounds like the cheating's pretty rampant. Because if it were not, like if it were like one or two isolated cases, I think LSAC would just kind of like try to identify those. And also, like for what's worth, this is for whatever they're seeing, there's got to be more under the surface. Because this is only like they only know the cheating they detect. All the cheating they don't detect is just unknown. So I have to imagine things are rather out of control in China for LSAC to be taking such a drastic step. They continue, we regret this inconvenience for individuals who have registered for a future LSAT in mainland China. We will continue to monitor and respond to the situation and will continue to evolve our security measures and employ a wide range of tools to protect the integrity of the test, both in the US and internationally. So yeah, long story short, for all our Chinese listeners, which there are not a lot of, you can't take the LSAT in China anymore. So like sucks, I guess. To be fair, most of the Chinese people that are applying to law school are of means. These are not the poor Chinese farmers. These tend to be the rich kids. So for the rich kids to travel to like Singapore or Japan to take the test is really not that crazy. Because remember, if you're a Chinese citizen applying to American law school, you are part of the 1% of China. These are not the poor kids. So I don't think this is that much of a hassle for those people. I mean, it sucks, obviously, if you're an innocent Chinese person who's applying. This does suck. How many of those people exist? Like, just not a lot. Not because the Chinese are not innocent, but rather there's just not that many Chinese folks applying to American law school as a percentage of the applicant pool. So yeah, I think the broader implication of this, though, is that cheating an online test is very doable. I get how they're able to do it. Like, it's not that crazy. Now it's kind of odd that they do it, but because I mean, what is the business model? You charge a kid $4,000. They've got to blackmail them because they should charge more otherwise. Because it's like, this is super, I mean, it's illegal. They're putting themselves at risk. $4,000, don't get me wrong, it's a decent amount of money, but it's not crazy money to the point where putting your neck on the line like that is worth it. And I'm not sure how they do it if they have someone who's just like really good at the LSAT who takes it for people. Or alternatively, maybe they are just giving people the answers. What they might do is have someone take the test really early in the administration, like on Thursday, and just write down all the answers. Because LSAC administers the same sections. And as such, if you have someone take the sections and they write like the first LR question is this, and someone recognizes that's my LR question, and you have the list of answers, which is like A, B, D, Q, no, not Q, A, B, D, E, C, A, B. You could just give someone the answer key, make them look like they're working, and just have them plug in all the right answers, or at least enough of the right answers to score whatever the first person scored. I guess where that could look funny is if a bunch of people start scoring the exact same test. So not only a 170, but they're making the exact same misses on the exact same questions. So I'm guessing it's more of people impersonating students because that would be harder to detect. Anyway, I think as technology gets better, impersonation is probably only going to get better in terms of like webcam projections, making it look like it's you, even if it's not you taking it. So I don't know that it's impossible for LSAC to just kill the online LSAT. In fact, if I were going to bet in 5 years, I think there's a decent chance they return it to all in person. I don't know that the infrastructure is there though for Prometric to handle that. I don't know. I mean, this is all just me conjecturing, so I have no idea what's going to happen, but I thought it was interesting. This was posted on Reddit too, and there were a few comments. Apparently, this is also a problem in Korea. I have no knowledge of this, but someone said they should do this in Korea too. The amount of Korean companies that you can pay to take the test for you is insane. All of the chat rooms talk about how they get away with cheating. So I haven't heard about that, but there is a claim that this is also occurring in Korea, which I guess could be true. I don't know. And yeah, what they say is that the way it works is that you pay a company to take the test for you. And for what's worth, this is a Reddit commenter, so this could or could not have any validity to it. So take it with a giant grain of salt. But they say send someone that looks vaguely like you to take the test. I won't explain the other ways here, but there's a lot they can/will do. Yeah, you sound like someone who knows a lot. All it takes is money. And yeah, I mean, that is probably true. If you have enough money, I'm sure you can pay someone to take the LSAT for you. Like, that's probably always been a thing. I don't know. It's interesting. Like, that was the whole Mike Ross idea from Suits, the idea that he takes the LSAT for people. And yeah, for what's worth, it's also probably crazy if they are doing something. Like, I don't think they're doing this just to, like, I think it's rather large. I'm sure this has been on their radar for a while, but the reason they're really hitting on it is because, you know, it's begun to bubble up. There's also some talk about this about 7 months ago. So that would have been in January. Someone posted on RedNote. That's like the Chinese TikTok for those of you that don't know. And here's what they said. So this is back in January of this year. And they said, I recently stumbled upon something that honestly makes me sick. I'm Chinese, and I've been seeing more and more posts on RedNote with LSAT applicants boasting 175 plus scores. At first, I thought that's impressive, but then I started noticing something off. An increasing number of proxy test taking and technical assistant offers flooding the RedNote. So I did some digging. I Googled Chinese keywords like LSAT test assistants, and what I found was shocking. There are entire businesses openly advertising LSAT cheating services, whether it's hiring a proxy to take the test, exploiting remote testing loopholes, or using technology to manipulate results. This is not just an isolated scam, it's a full-on industry. Which, to be fair, this also sounds very ChatGPT written, but that's not the point. This isn't just unfair, it's turning the LSAT into a money game where the wealthiest students can buy their way in, while hardworking, honest applicants are left at a disadvantage. And so for what's worth, I don't think this is as big of an issue, because here's the thing. If you're a Chinese kid who cannot score 170 and you get into like Penn Law School because you got someone to take a 170 for you, you're going to get killed at Penn, because if you're not smart enough to belong there and everyone around you got there legitimately, it's going to be really hard to compete. So I don't know that this is the problem in terms of like it's not the solution that people think they're buying. If you think that buying a high LSAT score just fixes things, the LSAT score, yes, is worthwhile, but it's also the skills. If you have the LSAT score without the skills, you're still in for a rough go of it, because you want to develop the underlying reading and logical ability, mostly the reading that law school requires for you to have success. So like if you are someone who's like truly a 145, you pay someone to get you a 170, you're still going to have giant issues, because even if you can get in via the application process, you're still going to run into problems in terms of competing. They continue, I'm planning to gather more evidence by engaging with these services, and we'll be writing to LSAC to report this. But I know that one voice isn't enough. We need more people to pressure LSAC to acknowledge and address this issue. Ideally, every past client of these services should be investigated. Yeah, I mean, they should remove these people. If people cheated their way into law school, they shouldn't be there. I think we can all agree on that. I don't know how you would identify that unless these services gave up all their people. And further, you'd have to identify all of them. Because like for all the ones you catch, how many are like little underground operations by word of mouth only? Because yes, some are like openly advertising on social media, like Rednote, but how many of them are probably just like talking to people in pre-law groups and not doing it publicly, or kind of in the back channels of like high Chinese society? Like, I don't think the smartest ones are just openly advertising. Anyway, they continue. As a Chinese, I'm disgusted by the situation. It damages the integrity of the exam and ultimately harms my fellow Chinese applicants in both the short and long term. It also reinforces negative stereotypes. Of course, I don't want anyone seeing these links to be tempted to take shortcuts. I'm committed to exposing this issue and will be... Yeah, so anyways, they don't talk more. Basically, the idea is that, cheating's a thing. And specifically, it's been a thing in China. There's also been the bubblings of it being in Korea. I don't know if there's that much validity to that. Further, the person who posted the Chinese post, they posted basically the screenshots of these accounts. They were posting stuff like, hey, we can take the GMAT for you. And they would tell them what score they would get. Actually, it doesn't say it. For the GRE, they said they would get you a 330 for $7,000. I don't know if a 330 is good. They said they can get you a 170 on the LSAT for 3W, which is 30,000 yuan, it looks like, which they say the conversion rate is to 4,000 US dollars, and you don't have to pay until after the exam. Yeah, I feel like the 4,000 is not off the cost. They've got to be blackmailing people on these. Because realistically, if you get into American law school, they have this over your head, and you would get disbarred for this. You would get rescinded from law school if this ever came out. So like, this is not a solution even for the people that did it. I guarantee they're in a pickle. Which, to be fair, they put themselves in by trying to cheat the LSAT. But these are not exactly ethical folks. And if you're like these people who are cheating the LSAT, you think they're not going to blackmail you when they could ruin your whole life just by sending an email to your law school? They're for sure going to extort you. So if any of you were even considering doing this, for one, don't do it from the ethical concerns. But even if that was an unconvincing argument, don't do it from the practical concerns. It will ruin your life. They're not going to stop blackmailing you if you're one of these people. So for one, you shouldn't do this just because it's cheating. But second, really, even if it's unconvincing, don't do it, because it's not going to work out. Okay, so that's that. There's, not a lot more to say. As far as how it impacts you all as American applicants, it kind of doesn't. So this is more so just like funsies, LSAT news. I guess the one place it could be is like if this continues to be a problem, if LSAC continues to detect cheating, they might just kill the online LSAT entirely and make things go in person, which wouldn't be the biggest problem. That's how they did it for decades on end. People would go and take it in like a college auditorium. But it would be a change from how they're doing things currently. So we'll see. I guess it doesn't affect how you study for it because it's still the same task. But time will tell what will happen with the LSAT. I think there's actually a decent chance they go back to in-person testing, primarily because, well, for one, the cheating. And then two, they are burning through LSATs. People are able to accurately predict the reading comp passages that are coming up, which is useless information, as I talked about on last episode. But people are able to do that because LSAC is recycling material, because they don't have enough material, because for every LSAT, to prevent cheating, they have to administer like multiple sections. Whereas back in the day, when it was just one test where everyone showed up at the same time to an auditorium, they just administered one test. So they would only need 4 reading comp passages. They would only need 25 LR questions. And as such, it was a lot harder to predict what was coming. And they also didn't have to recycle it. They would be able to release more tests as prep material because they could just release the test. Be like, we don't need that anymore. We have more tests in the pipeline. But because they need so many more tests now, they can't release them at the same pace. Okay, so that's the China news. Let's see what else we have. So here's another question. Well, actually, hold up. Let me pull my email real, see if there's any that I've been waiting to answer. I don't think there are, but there might be. Okay, cool. So yeah, here's someone who asked October exam. Does anyone think I'm delusional if I think I can go from a 145 to 160/165 in 1 month of grind? So yes and no. It can happen. People can go up 20 points, but those people tend not to wait for it to be a month. The people who are capable of making a 20-point jump are usually not the people who put themselves in the position where they need to make a 20-point jump. I made a 20-point jump when I started studying from the LSAT. I went from a 151 to a 171 by my third practice test. But that's also, I didn't need to. I was just taking the LSAT whenever. I just happened to improve that much. So, like, could you? For sure. I mean, you can do anything. Is it likely? I doubt it. Further, this is all lowercase. Anyone think I'm delusional? And then I'm does not have an apostrophe, which, like, I guess it's internet talk, but still, that is grammatically incorrect. If I think I can go from a 145 to 160/165 in 1 month of grind, there is no punctuation. It is all lowercase. So, yeah, I mean, are you delusional? If you're counting on it, if your whole life plan depends upon this 1 month, you going up 20 points, yes, you are delusional. It is possible, but I'm guessing you are someone who's like, I'm trying to take October. Further, October is 2 months out. Why are you talking about 1 month of grind? You have a month and a half to study. 1.5 months. Well, so I guess you could round that down to 1 month. But the point is, start studying now. If you're taking October and your life depends on it, you better be studying like your life depends on it. And this is where I often get very frustrated with people, is people will have these consequences, but they do not treat them like they have the consequences they do. If this is someone who wants to go to law school next year, October is likely your last chance to get a good outcome. And you only have 6 weeks for it. So are you treating it like these 6 weeks determine your life? Because if this is your plan, they do. So you should be taking these next 6 weeks very seriously in terms of how you're studying and what you're doing. Okay, so delusional. I mean, no, if you're optimistic, it's fine. I would just say you want to be very open to the possibility of it's not going to get done this cycle. And like, that's okay. It's one of those things where you don't have to apply this cycle. All of you think you do, but if you don't get the score that gets you into law school at a price you want, and honestly, the worst case scenario for this person is they get like a 152, which is enough to get them into bad law schools, but they don't want to wait. So they just go to like a shitty law school this cycle as opposed to waiting and actually improving their score for next year. It happens every year, but I would advocate that is the biggest mistake you make, is to rush to go this year. Okay, so what else do we have? Should I schedule October or November? Hi, everyone. I'm taking the LSAT this September, and I have a feeling I will probably want to take it again to get a higher score. I want to set 170, currently PTing around 167. But I'm contemplating if I should schedule the second one for October or give myself a bit of extra time and do it in November. Would doing it in November negatively impact my admissions? Appreciate the insight. Yeah, so if you're ready for September, you're ready for October. It's impossible to be ready for September, but not to be ready for October. So there's one that, I mean, it's possible you're not ready for September. If you are truly a 167, that means you likely have a 162 to 172 range, because LSAT takers tend to have a plus or minus 5-point range. That means there's a 20 or a 30% chance you will score 170 on September. Assuming that you do not improve before October, you have another 30% chance. That gives you not a math guy, but that's 0.7 times 0.7. What chance does that give you a 170 if you take both LSATs? That gives you a 50% chance, 0.49% of getting a 170 if you take September and October. If you just take September, you have a 30% chance. So I would take October. Alternatively, you might not be ready for September, in which case you shouldn't be taking October. But here's the thing. If you need to study more for November, you shouldn't have registered for September in the first place. You should have studied more. So, I mean, this is what happens when you all schedule a test before you're ready. You end up putting yourselves in these weird pickles where, like, this is a stupid question. This question should never be asked. But the reason it's being asked is because this person did not do the test taking process properly, and now they've put themselves in a bind. So like the answer is if you're ready, which with the 167 PT, you have 170s in your range. Now here's the one issue. I get skeptical when I hear that. People tend to over-identify with the high end of the range. So is this person really a 167? I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they are. Having talked to a lot of LSAT studiers, I will say that that is not usually the case. Usually this person is like a 163 average. They've hit like a 168, 167, so they identify with that. And they've also hit like a 158, which means that they have like no shot of scoring a 170. So a lot of this comes down to, are you actually a 167 average? If so, yes, fire October for sure. If you are not, and you've been lying to yourself, which here's the good news, you don't have to make that evaluation, just look at your scores. Have you hit a 172? Because if you haven't hit a 172, I really doubt you're a 167 average. So yeah, basic answer is self-assess. Have you been honest about that 167 average? If so, fire away. If not, you probably should be studying more before you take. But at that point, you shouldn't take September. Okay, what else do we have? Here's another person who says, I regret not getting accommodations. I'm starting to feel the pressure as I close in on my next test date. I took the August test and will be taking September. I may sign up for October as well, depending on the blog. You should take October. I don't even care what the rest of this says. You need to take October. Why are you taking September without taking October? Do you have a guarantee that you're going to crush it on September? Because if you don't, why are you not taking October? That is insane. This controls your future. You need to spend the $250 and take the test. Unless there's some like crazy knowledge, which is like if I don't crush in September, I'm just going to apply next year. They continue. My time score is not improving, even though my accuracy on untimed practice has improved a lot. Yeah, so I don't know what your scores are because you don't say, and is near perfect. Okay, so you're scoring really highly untimed. I guess the questions are those sections or are those drills. There's a lot of websites that will give you drills that are really easy, that just give you the easiest questions. And people are often like, I'm crushing on drills. It's like, yeah, but you're doing like the easiest 10 questions on the test. So like, yes, you're having really high accuracy, but that's not even that good though. Because like, what about the hard 10 questions that are substantially more difficult? So it's hard to read whether or not you're doing well based on just that. They continue. Obviously, I'm going to keep working at it, but I'm starting to have a lot of regret about not getting accommodations. Yeah, because it is easier with accommodations. I didn't request them initially because sitting for any longer than 2.5 hours sounded like ADHD help. So you have ADHD, so you could have definitely gotten accommodations. And yeah, it does suck to sit there, but also it's one test for the rest of your life. So there is value in just like sucking it up and getting through it. They continue. October registration and accommodations deadline closed in a few days. I know that this doesn't guarantee I will be approved, but if I can get my paperwork completed and submitted by then, including the form for my doctor, should I do it? Yeah, I mean, it's one test for the rest of your life. So if you have to sit there for a couple more hours, is it worth it? I would say, obviously. Like, yes, of course. It makes the test easier. People hate this, but it does make the test easier. Accommodations is an easier version of the LSAT. Like, people can keep saying that's not true on Reddit. It's false. The test is absolutely easier with accommodations. It is extra time on a time-constrained test. Like, duh. Anyway, they continue. And for those of you who also have the accommodation option for accommodations, didn't go through it, do you have any advice as words of reassurance? Well, so I didn't have accommodations and I scored in my practice test range. I had a 35-minute section on every section. I would have scored higher though had I had accommodations. There were a few questions where I for sure would have figured them out with more time. I remember a parallel question on my test day that I didn't figure out. I may have gotten it right out of luck, but there's also a very good chance it's one of the questions I missed. On reading comp, there was a passage I didn't get to read quite as close as I wanted to. So yeah, I mean, had I had accommodations, do I get those questions right that I missed? Almost certainly. Because the LSAT, all the information is there. You just need to find it. And I didn't find it because I didn't have quite enough time. I mean, I was still scoring well, so I still scored in the 99th percentile, but could I have instead scored like a 180? Potentially with more time. It's also why, but do I like regret it? Like not necessarily, because now I can say that I didn't have accommodations, which is true because I didn't have them. And I think a lot of tutors did, which kind of makes their scores, I wouldn't say suspect, but it is different to have the processing power at 35 minutes versus in bonus time. Once again, Reddit's not going to like that, but we're here in reality. We're not here in the echo chamber of Reddit where there's like accommodations are good for people who need them, including learning disabilities, which like, once again, it's not ever meant to be on feeling, but ADHD is one of those things that will not go away. You are not going to get accommodated in life for ADHD. And that sucks. It's unfair. I get that. I'm not trying to be unfeeling. But the idea that like, that's not like, it's what the LSAT is testing. The LSAT is testing, can you focus? And ADHD is a difficulty in focus. Like, does that suck? Yes, absolutely. Of course that sucks. But that's also the point. Okay, so anyways, that's my point on accommodations. They continue, please help, haven't studied in 2.5 days. So this is someone who's definitely more on the freak out side, but I love that. They say, hi, I signed up for the October test, but I couldn't study for 3 days straight. Yeah, that shouldn't mess you up. I mean, obviously don't take days off when you're studying for a consequential test, but like, is this going to derail your life? Like, probably not, only if you make a habit of it. They continue, my parents were concerned I was studying too much and going insane because I wasn't even coming out of my room. So they forced me to go to the club with them Saturday morning. The club? Like the country club? Or like in the club. I imagine they're talking like the country club, but they continue. I was really bothered the first couple of hours, but then I met some old friends and played with them on the grass and hung out, and the whole day went by quickly. That sounds nice. It sounds like a good thing for you to do. Returned home late, so I didn't study that day. The next day, I could not focus at all. I couldn't stay still or concentrate and had a bad headache. I had only one drink at the club. So I was weird. Oh, you did go to the club. But Saturday morning? No, that's not like the club. Yeah, I don't know. I let myself rest it out. I still couldn't study. Yesterday was the third day, and a couple of those friends and their parents just stopped by for breakfast. And as much as I was annoyed, I was made to spend the morning with them. I don't know how to make this stop. And more importantly, I'm worried about today. How can I get to studying today? I'm so distracted and weirdly affected. What do I do? Please help me. Sit down and study. Why are you posting on Reddit? Like, what? I mean, I am concerned that you're freaking out this much about not studying for 2.5 days. This should not derail your future. If it does, like, I think you might have an anxiety issue. So you can get accommodations. Have you considered getting LSAT accommodations? Because you sound like an anxious person. So you can just get bonus time on the LSAT. But more seriously, I mean, this is not gonna make the difference. If they are legitimately intruding on your time, you're like, I have to study, please stop. You just have to set those boundaries. I don't know your dynamics, but I would do that. Further, this should not derail you. Like, this is not going to be the difference when you get a good score, you get a bad score. Taking a weekend off to like do like rejuvenating things should not ruin your score. It's probably a good thing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like I kind of worry about you, but anyway, let's see what else we have. What to do now? I took the August LSAT. It was my first time taking it. I'm still exhausted. What are you exhausted from? It's like a 2-hour test. I mean, this is not meant to be harsh, but do you guys know what law school is? The LSAT, I'm not meaning to downplay its like difficulty. You're still exhausted. It's been a week and a half. Like, I don't know. If you're still exhausted from that, that's concerning, I would say. I'm registered for September, and because I'm a splitter, I was hoping to submit my apps by the end of September. Are you a splitter? You don't have your LSAT score yet. How could you possibly be a splitter? Well, you don't have your LSAT score. You just have a low GPA, and you're hoping to have a high LSAT. But that is not a splitter. You are a hopeful splitter. Best case scenario, you're a splitter. Because for those of you that don't know, splitter and LSAT or law school admissions is someone with a high LSAT, low GPA. You don't have your LSAT, because if not, you wouldn't be taking the LSAT. So you are hoping to be a splitter. So this is someone who, I mean, probably apply next cycle, but let's see. I haven't looked at the LSAT since October 8th and honestly can't gauge how I did on the exam. Well, good news for you, you scored some of your practice test range. Well, hopefully that's good news. That might be bad news. For a lot of you, that's bad news. It shouldn't be bad news if you took the test. You should not take the test before you like your practice test range. But you guys are goofballs and you do because you're silly. Anyway, do I take the September one too? Yes. Or is it too late to move it to October? Why would you not take September? If you were ready for August, you should take September. And if you weren't ready for August, you shouldn't have taken it. So, I mean, you guys are so silly with how you take this test. It is, you guys treat it like it's not serious. It is determining the trajectory of your future. And like, it is possible you're not ready for September, but if that were the case, you never should have taken August in the first place. And if you're ready for August, there should be no doubt about taking September. So it's, I mean, and for what's worth, I did take the test twice. I took October and November in 2020 back to back. I thought I crushed it on October. I was like, cool. I didn't have my score back before I took November. I still just took it because I was like, whatever. Like I already registered, may as well do it. So, yeah, anyways, you gotta take September. And further, when the LSAT is this much of a thing, I worry that you don't have things quite ready for law school. Like if the LSAT is that draining, like I'm not trying to be rude here, but it's not that draining. And it's like a 2.5-hour test. You're still drained a week and a half later. Like really? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not meaning to be judgmental, but it's just like life is hard. And if this is going to be that hard, like people used to do backbreaking labor all day. 2.5 hours of an intellectual test. Like, yes, it's stressful. Yes, it sucks. Should it derail you for 10 days? I really don't think it should. But that's why I'm LSAT Hitler, according to my, hate listeners. Anyway, let's continue. So here we have any advice for the situation I have, and it's someone who scored a 151 initially, then a 157, then a 159, then a 158, then a 164, but they have untimed scores in blind review of 167, 170, 173, and 177. So yeah, I mean, your understanding's pretty good, but your actual score is not improved that much. I mean, it has gone up. Your time score has gone from a 151 to a 164. Your untimed score has gone all the way to a 177. So the easy answer is get accommodations, and then your untimed score is real. I mean, that is like, this is why the LSAT accommodation system is broken. This is someone who, without a timing constraint, goes from a 164 high score to a 177 high score. They go from what is now a pretty average LSAT in admissions to the highest of the LSAT. A 177 is as good as it gets in terms of admissions outcomes. So yeah, just get accommodations. Like it's so dumb, but that's the system that we exist in. So like you have anxiety or you have anxiety. So like you can just go get accommodations and now your blind review score is real. So yeah, I mean, as far as how to close the gap, if you're not going to get accommodation, you just have to do more. Like as you get more comfortable with the LSAT, you get more reps in, you start to do things faster, not because you're trying to, but just because subconsciously you see the patterns quicker, you understand what's going on. Like the amount of LSAT familiarity you can get is a lot higher than people perceive. So as you do more, you will get naturally better at it, not because you're trying to go faster, but because you better understand. So as you review more and understand it better, you'll naturally go faster, but it really would be easier just to get accommodations and just like skip that whole process. Oh, okie dokie. And I think that's this is an exact example of why accommodations are broken. Because the fact that this person can go from like a pretty mid LSAT score to the elitist of the elite, to me, that just shows that giving people unlimited timing is not leveling the playing field. It is completely removing the barriers. Oh yeah, what else do we have? So here we have a question about receiving accommodations. So there's a ton of accommodations questions today. Registering as someone previously accommodated for dyslexia. Hello, I know this is a touchy topic, but I do think this is a valuable question. I have dyslexia. It simply takes me longer to read through the same amount of text. I received these accommodations for the SAT, had a 504 plan in high school for extended time on exams. and received similar accommodations to university. I also still have documents for reading disorder exams. I took both when I was 11 and again at 13 when I went to specialist school for dyslexia 1 year. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely gonna get accommodations if you ask for them. Continue. I have a couple questions. I received a letter from College Board saying I got 50% extended time on the SAT. From all the available LSAT scores I can find, I assume this will be sufficient to receive the same accommodation on the LSAT. Yeah, you could honestly ask for more. You could ask for double time if you wanted. So yeah, you will get whatever accommodations you ask for. I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't come off harsh. Um, have you seen what lawyers do? Do you understand what your day-to-day as a lawyer is going to be? I don't know what it's like to have dyslexia, but I imagine it could be a very frustrating life to be a lawyer if you have dyslexia. And this is not meant to be gatekeeping, it's not meant to be harsh, but I would hang out with some lawyers. I would spend a day in a law office. Like, I'm not here to say you can't do it, but I would say that I would really investigate if this is something that you can do given your limitations with your learning disability before you commit your life to this point. Because there's a very decent shot. Like, there's a lot of people that shouldn't go to law school because they don't want to do the reading. And then you have actual dyslexia, which I imagine makes reading a very intensive, very difficult task. It's all you're going to be doing as a lawyer. You're just going to be reading nonstop every day. So I don't know that means you can't go because, once again, I'm not a lawyer and I do not have dyslexia. But what I will say is that it is not as small of a consideration as most people seem to bump over. There's like, oh, cool, go. I would really consider if this is what you're going to do. I think the best way for you to evaluate this would be to just spend a day with a lawyer, spend a couple days with lawyers, just see what they do day by day and ask, is this something that I can do with my dyslexia? If it is, more power to you, go crush it. If it's not, it's better to find that out now than to find that out hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and 3 years of wasted time down the road. Because for what's worth, you might be able to crush it. I don't know. But I also, when I hear this, I get concerned when I hear someone going to be a dyslexia lawyer. It's like an ALS painter. Like, your hands all jitter. This is a bad example. But the point is like, this may be a serious impingement that prevents you from doing this. And I know that we live in a society that is kind of at a point where it's like disabilities aren't real. Anyone can do anything. And it's a nice thought, but it's also not real. People that struggle with reading are going to have a hard time as lawyers. That's just fact. And no one says this, but it is true. Lawyers read all day, nonstop. Law school is reading all day, nonstop. And once again, I do not understand dyslexia. I don't understand how it affects you. But what I will say is that you should really consider if this is something you can do. And if you can, go prove me wrong. I'm all for that. And this really is from a place of love, which is like, I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to waste your money on something that's not going to work out. And I feel like a lot of people have this vision of what being a lawyer is that's just not in alignment with reality. So yeah. Anyway, not really the question you're asking for. What you were asking for is this sufficient to get approved? The answer is yes. But I think there's also some subtext that is very worth considering. Okie dokie. So here we have a score preview question. Someone says, hey, y'all, I just wanted to quickly get a second opinion. I took the August LSAT. I was considering purchasing the score preview now that the deadline is approaching. I don't. Like, why would you buy a score preview? It's like, what, $80? What's the benefit? It gets your score. Why are you considering canceling your score? If your score is that bad, or if it's possible to be that bad, why'd you take the test? So no. And then further, even if you score a low score, law schools don't care. Their ABA ranking and their ABA 509s and their US News rankings are determined based upon their highest score. So even if you get a low score, as long as you get a higher score, it doesn't matter. So the answer is, it's a thing that LSAC does to make money. They don't do it because it's actually a useful service. People do tend to buy it because it, I think, alleviates anxiety, but there's no benefit to it. They continue, I normally would not buy it. However, before the August LSAT, my mom was taken to the hospital for an unknown health issue. During the LSAT, I felt my mind all over the place and was unable to take the test to the best of my ability. I do believe I improved by at most 3 points. At worst, no improvement at all, since my previous tests weren't exceptionally bad or good. If this could be your best LSAT ever, why would you even consider canceling? It sounds like you think it's possible that this is your highest LSAT ever. And even if it's gone down by a point or two, law schools don't care. So don't buy a score preview. It's a waste of your money. I guess if the money means nothing to you, then you can buy it. But if the money means anything to you, I would not spend your money on it. So yeah, would such a small increase / no increase at all reflect badly on applications? No, they don't care. Like, their incentives are to get the highest LSATs possible. And if they start considering people that have multiple takes or a decrease, that will hurt their ranking. So the dumb law schools might care, but the law schools that want to increase their ranking and make more money do not care. They just care about your highest LSAT. So this is not a point against you. So yeah, I would not get score preview. And I definitely wouldn't cancel either. All right, and then our final question of the day is LSAT writing help. Oh, you know what? We're not gonna do that one because that one has to do with Grammarly. Apparently, Grammarly's my thing. You all, just, I guess as a PSA, when you're taking the LSAT writing, you have to like manually disable Grammarly. I keep talking to people whose Grammarly keeps popping up. I don't think LSAC cares. I don't think they've been invalidating writings, but I have heard from a bunch of my students that when they take LSAT writing, their Grammarly starts making suggestions and that messes them up. So before you take LSAT writing, just as a PSA, turn off your Grammarly, because if you do, it'll make you do better. Alrighty, cool. So this is a fun one. And I'll see you all next week. Maybe we'll have some updates on angina. Probably not. But yeah, have a good one, everyone. If you enjoyed what we talked about today or learned something new, please leave a review or a rating. It really does help us out and helps us reach more people. If you have a question or anything you want talked about in the world of LSAT or law school admissions, you can always email support@HeyFutureLawyer.com to get it in the podcast agenda. Just put podcast in the subject and we will talk about it on the show. Alrighty, that's all we have for today. So I will see you all next time.